So my name is Tuomas Erikoinen. I'm the monkey man behind Part-Time Monkey. And I'm basically what Markus just described, one game and after another. So the agenda today is I quickly go through what I did before Part-Time Monkey times, and then the actual story to that number is now actually 15 million, but still. Then what I'm going to do next, and at the end there's a small indie mobile dev toolbox giveaway, basically some of the tools that I use most often in basically all of my games. So before Part-Time Monkey, I started my career in 2006 in a company called Pixel Gene, which basically made small Java games and some prototyping for Nokia and stuff like that. Then Rovio acquired Pixel Gene in 2006, and I became a junior graphic artist. And eventually, I did a bunch of Java games again there and again prototyping for Nokia. And we did a game brand called Bounce, the red ball with white big eyes on it, if you remember it. And then obviously Angry Birds. And then I wanted to spread my Angry Birds wings and found my own company, Boom Lagoon. I co-founded it. And then 3 years after Boom Lagoon, I figured that our parts separated with the founders, and I founded my indie studio Part-Time Monkey, which is just me. So here's the story on that. So 2015, I left Boom Lagoon. I formed Part-Time Monkey. The idea here was basically to do whatever, whether it's premium or free to play, whether it's hardcore, casual, but still on mobile though. So my first goal was to experience the full process from scratch and launch a game on iOS and Android. So I developed a Flappy Bird clone game called Tim the Unsatisfied Artist, which was my first time ever really programming. So I learned a lot on how to make games, obviously in Unity, C#. So I developed that game in about 2 weeks, and I got perhaps 50 downloads on it. So that was my first experience. And very good ratings, like 1 star, this is a shitty Flappy Bird clone, and all, you know, the goods. Then I started the development on my first real game, Monkeyrama. Monkeyrame? Okay. Where I figured out that it was actually a premium game, so I wanted to try the same thing than what Angry Birds was in the early days, whether it's going to fly or not. And I figured out it's not. But I learned more about programming, and yet again went through the process of from zero to launching a game, and I learned more about programming. This game I developed in about 1.5 months, and to this date, this game has gotten downloaded about 200K times. And while I was waiting for Monkeyrama to go through the review processes, I wanted to try what it's like to make a local multiplayer on iPads only, and basically just for fun. So this game had no monetization, no ads, no nothing basically. So again, got to experience the process of launching. Developed it in about 2 weeks, downloads 4K. Then I wanted to figure out what I'm going to do next. And you may guess that I had just previously watched Star Wars episode, whichever had the pod racing bit in it. And then I had also been playing Hill Climb Racing. So I basically wanted to rip off that because it was good, but I make it prettier and a little bit more elaborate. But when I eventually started to test that on other people, their initial thoughts were along the lines of, so this is Hill Climb Racing, right? So basically, that was enough of a reason for me to drop it, because I don't want to be a rip-off artist. So right now we're at about 200K downloads. Then through that prototyping phase, I made a space shooter type of prototype, which became Space Bang. And this was my kind of, I wanted to dip my fingers in real free-to-play, so it had a lot of different kind of, well, first of all, my first game with virtual currency and IAP virtual currency packs and stuff like that. Lots of different rewarded ads, infinite gameplay. Basically, I wanted to make something and see whether it's so easy to become rich that you can make just an okay free-to-play game with lots of monetization. Thankfully, that wasn't the case, so it failed. But eventually, it led to a publishing deal with the Chinese publisher iDream Sky. I'll talk about that a bit later. And to this date, this game is the game that has the highest LTV of all of my games, and it's 20 cents. No UA yet, but you know, something. Developed it in about 2 or 3 months. Downloads 70K or something. 250,000, almost there. Then I had been playing way too much of Grand Theft Auto 5 with a bunch of friends, so I figured that I could do that for mobile, like very casual, cartoony way. And well, yeah, the project basically just bloated. It had shitloads of features. You could buy properties that generated money, drive around the city. You could become a policeman, fireman, gangster. Experience level is visit the movie theater, go gamble in the casino and everything. And then I figured that I have no idea what this game is about, so I just ended up dumping it. I did it or developed it for about 1 month, but never released, so we are still at 250,000. Then, after all this failing, I was feeling hungry because I had no money. So I started doing some prototyping for Ubisoft, Rovio, and Armada. So basically, I was doing lots of prototyping based on their ideas, and I figured that because this prototyping thing is going so well, I could, you know, form a business around this. And I had plans for it. I had even some talks about investments and everything, and I was like almost like, I had a name for it even. And I was like, now we're going to do this. Let's do it. And then I felt like, nah, that's shitty. I don't want to do that. So I wanted to stay true to myself and keep on fooling around with indie stuff. And through one of my gigs in Ubisoft Romania, I got to know this Romanian dude who really wanted to do kids games. And he had some of the arts already done, and he had a prototype of the game, so he was looking for somebody to fulfill this game. And so he found me, and I could, you know, try my fingers in that as well. Not in kids, but, you know. So we made Kids Discover Dinosaurs. So yeah, it was an experiment on kids games. Developed in about 1.1 months, and eventually it got downloaded for about 80K times, so it wasn't a huge success. But there was a kind of a fun learning in that, in my opinion, that it didn't suffer from the similar rise and fall effects than the normal casual games do. Well, download-wise, it did, but the IAPs to this date, it's been released almost a year ago, but it's still going steadily about 20 to 30 bucks a day. So I think if you did like a series of these games, kept on reskinning them, release one every 2 months or so, which is easily doable in my opinion. So you could, you know, build a pretty steady business around that. But I just don't think that's for me, but I think it's an interesting lesson. Yeah, so this was my first hit game, Breakout Ninja. I released it this year, January. My idea, I had been playing a lot of the Ketchup games, if you know them, very casual, simple games. And I basically ripped off one of their control mechanics, but added my own bits to it, and did a very simple art style with silhouettes, and it went through the roof. The development time on that was about 3 weeks, because it's a very simple game, but Apple featured it and Google featured it eventually quite nicely as well. So on the App Store, it was downloaded more than 1 million, and on Google Play, almost 1 million, so now we're at 2 million downloads. Then Space Bang again. with iDream Sky. Through Breakout Ninja's success, I was approached by a few publishers, one of them being iDream Sky, and they, for some reason, wanted to publish the Spacebang in the Chinese market, so I figured, why not get some publisher experience as well? On and off, I developed it for about 2 weeks, like implementing SDKs, changing ad networks, doing stuff like that. But the game is pretty much still the same. Eventually, it also flopped financially and download-wise, but it was a good learning for me, what it's like to work with external partners in general. This was the motherlode for me, just released last month, Space Frontier, co-developed with Antti Ilvessuo from RedLynx. Some of you may know him. Now he has his side company, Link Swamp. Ilvessuo, the Finnish dudes get it. And RedLynx and Ketchup were both acquired by Ubisoft. And that's how the link kind of goes from RedLynx, Antti Ilvessuo, to Ketchup. And he made this deal happen with Ketchup. And he knew me. He wanted a developer, so I developed it. And we did it it was developed in about 2 months. And it was ready in this year's January. But working with publishers, it may take a while before it gets launched. There's a lot of on and off work, again, doing SDKs and whatnot. But now it's been downloaded more than 10 million times, which is great. And the total downloads, 12 million. And then I released my own game, Silly Walks. It's been out for 3 weeks now or something. I co-developed it with this dude, Asmo Jussila from Rage Mode Entertainment, basically a Finnish indie dude who has had minor success, but not a very well-known dude, but a very skilled one. We did it in about 3.5 months or so. And it also was a pretty big success for us, 2 million downloads. But I think, or actually we were more kind of competent what came to how you use rewarded ads and stuff like that. So it actually ended up making about 3 or 4 times more than Breakout Ninja, which was great. So that's the journey from 0 to 15 million downloads. So what I'm about to do next is obviously more games. I want to do them like that. I've actually started the development of Monkey-Rama 2. Monkey-Rama, I think, is my best game to date. And some of the KPIs do also indicate that. But still, I wanted to do that. It's going to be a bit bigger project. But I don't want to be in a rush, because as you could probably tell from the other games, they've been kind of, well, not rushed, but done in a fast pace. But with this one, I want to take my time, whether it's 6 months or a year, I don't yet know. I also want to, and have already expanded. I have a dedicated artist, Simo Kovanen, who did much of the art on Silly Walks already. And looking for an office in Helsinki downtown, by the way, which is cool. I'm looking for a level designer also for this Monkey-Rama project. I'm not looking for a full-time level designer, but a freelancing one. So if you are or know one, please hook me up. Obviously, I'm still going to do more cooperation. I'm going to be working with Ketchup on Space Frontier and probably other games as well. I might be working as a publisher as well, if there's like the good kind of interest, which there seems to be, but let's see. And about that stuff, if you want to know more or have somebody who wants to know more, use this email address and shoot. And so here's the indie dev toolbox that I mentioned. There's the link below. And so it covers kind of many aspects of indie development. First of all, I've done a bunch of extensions for the Unity UI, because there are a bunch of things like when you create new canvases or buttons or scrolling lists or anything like that. I've done extensions that do that automatically just with a press of a button and stuff like that. There's a bunch of level design tools, basically object handling, grouping, regrouping, ungrouping, replacing objects with prefabs and stuff like that. It was very useful in Monkey-Rama. I've taken the in-app purchase manager from Unity and revised it to be more simple and easy to use. There's an audio manager, which is very simple, but it handles object pooling and makes it easy to play audio anywhere with a few variables. There's a generic icon set, so basically all the icons that you use in mobile games, the social icons, play menu, purchase stuff, and everything like that in a cartoony fashion. And there is a sort of a documentation of all of this. It's not very heavy, but it tells you the outlines. So there should be, okay. So that's it. Thank you for your time. And
thank you, that was great. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah, we have one straight away. Good.
Hi, thanks.
Hey.
Very interesting stuff. I was just wondering, and I think also many other developers are wondering, like, did you do any marketing for any of these projects that you published yourself? Or did you just, make a page in Google Play and wait for somebody to discover it? Or, I mean, to get even these 80,000 downloads, somebody has to find it. So what happened with those?
yeah, I only rely basically on featuring on the platform, so I haven't used any budgets on it because I have no idea how to do it. And as you can see from the nature of my games, they are small games, and especially, as I mentioned in Spacebank, that's the highest LTV that I have, which is 20 cents. So that doesn't really allow me to do much UA or even marketing. So I've kind of, it wasn't my plan, but it happened so that I guess the more games I push to the platforms, the better they see me. So they end up featuring me more and more, stuff like that. Basically, I only, it's sad, but I only value the launching week the most. And then I do updates up until they don't get any updates anymore. So that's it.
Any other questions? So I think one of the things that I think is the key lesson that I think I took from Marcus and from the talk before, Marius, is that this persistence is key to it. This persistence, but with always an eye to the lessons that are being learned from each of the stumbles that you have along the way. What's the key kind of lens that you use? What's the key kind of way of thinking that helps you make the call for what the next thing should be?
Well, I think, yes, persistence is definitely a key in what I do, but I don't really plan my stuff that well, so I don't know what's next all the time. So it's more like go with wherever your inspirations and ideas are and learn later. See what the lesson was instead of going towards that lesson.
Yeah, so using it to sort of like, okay, so I did that, and then using that as a fertilizer for ideas from that point. I think it's, at least for me, it's been best just to kind of scout out all the opportunities, whether it's your own ideas, whether it's people to start a company with, or new platforms or whatever, and just pick the one that feels right, go there and see what the next junction points are. Gotcha.